Okay. Hi again. It booted us. I'll wait for Jeff to come down. Where were we on? We were on Subway. I feel like we have like a handful more questions on here to go over. But yeah, Jeff is definitely anti-Subway right now, and he's been forever. So our kids don't go. I feel like they had Subway maybe once or twice if like the grandparents took them, but Subway's garbage, right?
It had to be in another state or country.
Yeah. So so yeah, he hasn't always had the best eating habits, and neither have I though. And so I think that admission time, remarkably, I know this is going to sound like how, but when we started dating, I didn't know how to cook because I went to these indoctrination centers, right? So like so I was the person that was Googling things like how to boil an egg, how to boil chicken. And right, like I've shared this before where people have been like, why are you just boiling a chicken in a pot? You're supposed to season it. You're supposed to yeah. So I didn't know how to cook. So Jeff, being together, we probably ate out like more than half the week. And when we would cook, we would do that thing where you spend $100 at the grocery, you cook up something that's like not that good, and then you just regret not going out to eat because you could have just saved money. We went through all of that together. So, so over the years, my cooking has obviously improved. Things have gotten so I feel like he doesn't complain because he knows what it used to be before, and you cook a lot too, and so
we share that, which is nice.
Yeah, we do that. We do the pretty much like the food we're buying has to be Whole Foods organic type. So that's yeah. Parental advice.
Could you give parental advice came from a difficult family and don't want your
childhood repeated?
Yeah. I came from a offset and kind of odd growing up as well, family situation. My dad was married several times for majority of our life. There was no mother figure. While my dad was in the Air Force, he was actually overseas, so we lived with our grandparents for a while. We didn't talk about emotions. Saying I love you was definitely not common in the household. My dad worked a lot, and he was old as I was growing up, so it's not like we were playing catch or anything else. He didn't attend any of my sports that I played, so it was hard. It felt like a lot of neglect there. So I didn't want to repeat those same things growing up, with my kids growing up, with our kids growing up. So spend time with the kids. I just make sure not to do those things that I didn't like when I was growing up.
Yeah, we just have more compassion now. Well, for what Jeff went through, I never had to go through any of that. I had very supportive and loving parents who now I realize that what a blessing that was, because Jeff didn't have that at all. And I definitely took that for granted growing up. I just thought that was normal. Like, why wouldn't a parent be there at a recital or at a game or, but Jeff didn't have anything like that growing up. So your father had like 4 or 5 marriages, right? How many?
Somewhere around there.
His father was a very charming man.
He was a very good storyteller. Like he could be very social.
Yeah, I was able to meet his father once, but he was much older, and Jeff was from the second marriage.
Yep.
So he met Jeff's father's Puerto Rican, and the mother is Taiwanese, and the mom, they met in Taiwan, right?
Mm-hmm. When my dad was in the military.
He was stationed there, and
they got married and then came back to the States.
but they got married like against her father's wishes. Like her parents were not okay with it. Something like that, right? She was from like a big family out there, and he pretty much disowned your mom because she married
some
your
of
dad.
the family members, didn't talk to her. However, after I was born, shortly they divorced, and of course she moved on. But then I guess in the culture, she did not want to mention past marriages or past kids because I guess it was really frowned upon. So I have a brother and a sister that actually, I met my mom for the first time that I could remember when I was 21. I was living in California. She was in the Bay Area. So I was able to meet her. And then she had two other kids. So essentially my half brother and half sister, which I had to say that I was a potential tutor, just in order to meet them so that I wouldn't jeopardize her current life. So I was really funky, but I was glad to have met her, glad to have met them. And then that was pretty much the last time I got to hear from them. She had moved and there was no other phone number or contact information. So it was unfortunate, but you don't have to follow in those footsteps that your parents might have gone through. So if you have a difficult family, it's understandable, especially in this day and age, but just know that you don't have to follow those same footsteps. You can do it completely different because it is your life and your family.
Yeah, I have to hold this now because the phone was dying, so I had to plug it in. Yeah, so that was really, but that part was really hard because Jeff kept that in for the majority of our dating life, and it was only when we were engaged talking about who we should be inviting to our wedding, and he mentioned his mom, and I was like, you never talk about your mom. What's the story there? And when he told me that, it was like, you always hear from the other end. You always hear about like the fathers that were not around, like absentee fathers, and you never hear about like just a mom who gave up her kids. Like you were 2 years old, your brother was 7.
Yep.
And she just walked away from them to go start a new life. Like packed her bags, left, wanted nothing to do with her family that she had built. And then when you did meet her, it was almost like, I think this new life that she created in the Bay Area, they don't know about her past life. They don't know about Jeff. So so you have siblings right now that are somewhere out there that they don't even know that you exist.
Yeah. Yep.
So women and their secrets.
So it's it can go either way. You can either follow in those footsteps or you have the power to change it.
Yeah.
I say change it.
But then there's still always like this longing in you that you want a relationship with this woman who doesn't want anything.
I just wanted to let her know that she does have blood and her grandchildren are good and well.
But she doesn't want to know about them.
Yeah, so I did try to look her up, and I tried to use a few search engines or reverse search engines or whatever. And I found like a phone number that seemed like it was hers and left a message to invite her to, what was it? Enzo's birth.
You invited her to Enzo's birth?
No, Enzo's birth. It was something with Sebastian. A birthday or something, or for Christmas or whatever, just to send a card, just to let her know that we were doing well, but couldn't get in touch, couldn't find.
Well, there was one that got like returned to sender.
Yeah, that's when I think I found out that she had moved.
So it's I guess I think she did. She married within her race, and yeah, Jeff had grown up. They grew up pretty poor, and she's like very well to do, but this is just a part of her life that she doesn't want anybody to know about, which is her loss because she has like she has no idea that she's got like the coolest grandkids,
And daughter-in-law.
So did you just say daughter-in-law? So for those that ask, because there was a question that had come in about how my relationship is with like my in-laws and mother, like I don't have mother-in-law problems, and And with as unfortunate as your situation is,
I like Talia's parents a lot.
well,
You know what? It's different because
but for me, it's like, can you guys imagine me with mother-in-law problems? I don't, you know.
yeah, Talia's family was always very. When I met them, they were. You know, they sat down. They had the family dinners together. They communicated with each other, and I always thought that was something that was only on TV. So it was odd and it was really cool, and I loved that because I knew that would be in our family. I would be a part of that from now on. But it was hard for me too because I grew up completely opposite of that. You didn't communicate. You did what you were told to. It was a very almost military style childhood in the beginning, and then of course later on as I grew up, it became less military. But then at that point, I was already moving out. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful for Talia's family and her. I'm excited.
We're not perfect though.
No,
like my
you're not.
family's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
I mean, we have all of our family definitely has.
But you guys
its
talk out
issues
your
and stuff.
problems at least, which is nice.
Sometimes it's
So,
talking.
I'm
Sometimes
tr-
it's not.
Sometimes it's this.
Yeah.
But I am still trying to learn on that communication part as well.
Yeah, that's true. So we work on all that together. And I always have to remind myself that of his past, and I have to remind myself that it was in his upbringing. That's the reason that he's not as, and needs specifics.
Sometimes,
he
yeah.
doesn't, most men though, like, he can't guess about the next thing he's supposed to do. I was that girl that was like, oh, I don't like flowers and I don't like stuff like that and all the romance stuff and it's not my thing. And he took that very literally. He took it so literally the first several years of us being together that after a while it was like, hey, I need at least some acknowledgement. Like, you don't have to get me the flowers, but, so yeah. So with Jeff, he has to be very, yeah. I have to be specific with him, and that's okay. So
Zizwin, where do I get those post-it cards with the Vax info?
they're on them. The post-it cards, it's learntherisk.org. Somebody, I think, made a learntherisk.com.
Oh, really?
That is a pro-vax site. So you'd want to go on .org, learntherisk.org.
Let's see, do you use flash when taking wedding pictures in a church? Or only if it's not enough natural light? That depends on the church, actually. Some churches don't allow the flash.
Yeah, most churches won't allow flash inside.
There've been only maybe a handful, if that did.
They allow it during the procession, but we'll really only want to use flash for the reception. The rest of the day, we like to shoot all natural light. That's what we prefer.
Although we did do that wedding at Harvard, and they even allowed a drone in there.
Remember
that
that's
one?
right.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't at Harvard. It was in a Boston
It was near
cathedral
Harvard,
near
yeah.
Harvard. Yeah, the couple went to Harvard. Yeah.
And it was a new. It was like a younger age guy coming in. They kind of wanted to
Oh, for the church.
yeah,
for
to
that
kind of
wedding.
move things
Yeah, that's
forward
true.
to get more people.
That's
there.
when the groom worked for Facebook and worked for Facebook marketing, and I had so many questions for him, but I was like, I gotta wait until after I shoot their wedding so that they don't not like me. But yeah.
Let's see. How do you stay strong despite understanding, acknowledging world issues?
I think we've tapped on that a few times, but we pray a lot. We're constantly in prayer. So, yeah.
Let's see.
What about this one?
When did you both know the other was the one? Right away.
No.
Right away.
No, I don't think so. You didn't act like it.
So let's see. I would say that I knew Talia was the one when I told her I love you. Because,
So 16 months into dating me.
well, earlier than that. Okay, so like I mentioned before, saying I love you wasn't something that we did in our household at all.
You don't have to defend yourself. It's okay.
No, I'm just putting it out there. So, and I was also very young. So for me to say, I know what love is, I didn't know what love is. I didn't date a lot. I didn't have a lot of girlfriends. So I don't want to just throw that term loosely around because I knew that term is very important, especially when you're saying it to somebody. So I did keep it in for a while and I thought about it very often, but you know, and what was it that night that you were riding off and I said it?
Yeah, it was a morning I was driving off, and you said it.
Yes, excuse me.
And you didn't think, and the thing is, yeah, the window was rolled down on my truck.
And it wasn't like I had planned it. It just
that
was
came
the
out.
time.
Yeah.
That was the time.
But I was
for it
like,
to happen.
he just never said it. You know, he didn't say it for like 16. That was like a long time, and I was like so used to, because the other tools that I had dated, they were like in love from like the first week, and so it was weird that he like wasn't. But that's just me, because when I was younger, I was stupid and big-headed and, you know, terrible. Like, I'm telling you, stay away from girls. Don't date girls that are 20, 21. That's like when they're exploring a bunch of stuff, when they think that, like, they're, you know, all that. Can people use all that still? Do they use that term? But, you know, I was like, I got my whole life ahead of me, and I can't be bogged down right now. But I also wasn't going to be the one to say I love you first. So
Can we hold this?
I think I knew that you were the one. Yeah, probably. I want to say it was in the first year of dating when I saw you, and I saw him around his family, and I started understanding more about why he is the way that he is, and just your childhood. And I think that's when I was like, well, yeah, this is somebody that I can like really see myself with, because he's really just a great, good person. Honestly, I didn't, you know, this is going to sound very shallow, but I'm going to say it anyway. So I didn't think that it was, I thought that all guys that were cute, attractive, were, you know, they had lousy personalities, and they were actually very awful people, because I just felt like cuter guys, attractive guys are going to cheat on me. Like, I was like, oh, if he looks a certain way, that means he's likely going to cheat on me after like a couple years, and it's not going to work out. I don't know why I thought this way. Maybe I watched too many movies, but I couldn't believe in the first year of being together just how nice he was, and how genuine he was, and honest. And I kept thinking, this is going to change. Like, it's all going to change overnight. I'm going to wake up one day and he's going to be psycho, and, you know, he's going to totally be cheating on me. I don't know. I kept thinking that in that first year. So I really kept kind of like a bit of a guard up as well, until I met his family and saw how he was raised. We took a trip to North Carolina, and I was like, oh, this all makes sense. It's because Jeff has what I like to call ugly duckling syndrome, where you were very
Ugly?
where you were like, where you were maybe not attractive at all in high school, and like, because I saw his like high school pictures, middle school pictures, and I was just like, oh, I get it. He had to work on his personality his whole life. Like, he only got cute after high school, and like around the, you know, when I noticed him for the first time, he had already figured things out and was, you know, but if you saw, oh my gosh, this Jeff, I mean,
You don't want to see those pictures.
his senior year of high school, like, I get it. Like, no girl that you were into wanted to talk to you, huh?
No.
I'm sorry, that sounds so bad.
You know, it's good.
Sorry. But, oh man. So Jeff had to work on his personality for years of his adolescence. And that's why he's so great. And I was like, this is like winning the lotto right now. You got to catch the guys that were like no good in high school. Like, you know what I'm saying? And not that I was even all that, and by any means. I looked like I was 12 years old senior year of high school. Like, any guy that I was attracted to treated me like a little sister. They're like, oh, little Talia. I was called Little Talia. Like, little Natalia was my name. Because there was also another Natalia who was one of my closest friends, and she still is. And then I didn't complain too much because they called her Big Natalia and I was Little Natalia. And I was like, well, I'd rather be Little Natalia if there's a choice there. But yeah, I was definitely, I didn't get any guy that I liked, but it made sense. So it made sense. So.
Let's see. Are you guys moving towards having a farm/homestead? I would love that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a big one. Just something for us and family.
Yes, we would love
Yep.
to have some kind of homestead. It doesn't have to look crazy amazing like some of these. It doesn't have to look.
I would like a lot of land, though.
Yeah.
I think that would be nice.
I feel like we don't even need that much land. Everything that we're reading up has, like, they say, just as long as you have even 2 acres, that you know what to do with it. That's more than enough. I also don't want to 300 acres and then you're dealing with all
somewhere
kinds
in
of...
the middle.
Yeah, but we're definitely checking out. We want to use this year. Let's just say that our family vacations and vacation times this year are going to mostly revolve around checking out spots.
Future spots.
For potential. We know that we're on a bit of a time crunch here and that we can't be sending our kids off to these schools for too long, even if they're great schools for now. So, yes, we're moving towards that. I think we responded, how do you keep sane in Twilight Zone? Yeah, we obviously just have to pray a lot. This is I feel like every other question. We have to pray. We have to pray. What made you decide to become an outspoken and prevalent person in our movement?
I don't think anything
think
made
I'm...
you decide. This is just how you are naturally.
Yeah, I think I just got sick of it, and I was like, oh, Instagram has this story feature, and this is a great way for me to really explain myself to all my friends that think that I'm nuts, because what I was doing before was Facebook posts, and they'd be just status updates of things going on, and there was no passion there. You couldn't really hear that in my voice and me wanting to speak to people. And so I was using my Instagram mainly for wine posts, and I started noticing that I would do these nights where I'd be cooking something in the kitchen, and I would talk a little bit, and I would always try to insert some bit of inconvenient little fact in the mix of talking about wine. And then I'd get people to be I love these posts because you're educating on both wine, and you're giving in oh, hey, by the way, did you know that CPS is da da da? And so I had maybe an audience, honestly, of 20 to 30 people watching my stories for 6 months, and they were all I planned for the day when it came to my stories. And then when I got pregnant with Enzo, that's when I went more full force into it, because I was I've always been full force on Facebook, but when you want to say putting my face on something and talking, I was well, look, I'm pregnant now, and this is gonna look really bad if I'm drinking a bunch of wine and talking. So what am I gonna talk about? And he's what do you always talk about? Just talk about what you talk about. And I was but I don't talk about that all the time. And then I just started. And you guys know my beginning videos, I'd be eating. People didn't know I was pregnant yet because I was partly in denial, and also we didn't announce it until way later on. But I'd be eating an entire bag of pistachios and just be hey guys, so do you know that your state allows this and that you have this? And then I started noticing my audience of 30 people dwindle down to 12. 12 to 15, oh, hey, I really loved following you for your wine posts, and I really loved you, but you're going way too into this, and then I didn't care, because the 12 that were following were very into it, and that was it. I was you know what, whatever, I've got these 12 people that really want to learn. And so then one day I was I'm going to just do a highlight on one topic, because I feel I'm all over the place. So I was I'm just going to focus in on one topic and save it, because now I got a highlight feature. And I did that, and then they like screen recorded it, shared it with their friends, invited people along. And so I started noticing like my wine following take a dive, but then I was getting like other moms and people that were like, hey, you're apparently there's like information on your page. And so I didn't decide to become an anything. It physically hurt me to not share this kind of news with people. I was doing that like with my insurance talks, you know, I would go to people's homes and then I would share what I had just learned. I'd be like, guess what? And that was interesting because I'd be like, there's always another thing. People think they could just sign up for insurance, and there's medical exams you have to go through. You have to be at decent health to get insurance. And that list kept growing. So I would share that. I'd be like, guess what other chronic ailment was added to the list today? Or guess what else is added that you can't get if you're now in the MIB system, which is the Medical Information Bureau, and so I'd educate in that way. And then it just always led into what it is now, which is like the topics, the health topics. And I don't think that I considered like, oh, I'm going to be this prominent anything. And I still don't. I think that if you have information out there, my parents relate it to when they first found out the truth about like Jesus, when they finally had Jesus in their life and everybody around them was still very, very Roman Catholic. That's like what most of the Philippines is. And it's like when they found out and they were saved, they just couldn't shut up about it, and that they had to like save everybody else. Like my dad relates it to that, in that excitement to just talk to people and, you know, and then like weed out the bad ones. And I guess at first I was a little bit offended that people didn't want to follow me anymore. I was like, well, that sucks. But now, honestly, if you ask me, I couldn't even tell you who they are and like their names, because that's how insignificant, you know, any of that was. Sorry.
Don't be sorry about any of that.
Yeah.
I was just going through there's just some more. Favorite gun right now, I wouldn't say that I have a favorite gun. I'm using that Kimber 1911. But I'm looking for another probably 9mm for the CC.
Yeah. And why did you choose Nevada to escape? We chose Nevada because it was the closest to California for us to be able to work still, because most of our work was in California. That's why we chose that.
There's still lots of freedoms here for us and the family.
Favorite TV show and wine? Currently, we like Dry Farm wines, but we don't indulge as we used to. I used to drink a lot more wine. But now if we do drink, we like Dry Farm wines because they do all of like the testing, and it's like you don't feel hungover the next day. And like, I feel like really satisfied after one or two glasses. But like I said, it's a treat every now and then. I understand though now the alcohol thing, that's... Everything is ruined, you guys. I'm sorry, everything's ruined.
Maybe not. Don't go down that one right now.
Yeah, no, I won't go down that one. But favorite TV show? We have several that we enjoy watching, I guess. We really liked, we like This Is Us. But then last year, and I know that it's the premiere tonight of This Is Us, but last season, they got all into it. They freaking...
They dropped them here and there a little.
Yes, they got into like the whole talk of...
Good.
Doctor knows best, you know? They had an episode where it was like the doctor that got mad at the family for
asking
questions, and you're like, they're pushing stuff here. So I feel like everything we watch eventually goes down the road of like garbage, where they have to bring up something going on, and then it's like a reminder. It's hard to enjoy anything nowadays, right? Because then you're just reminded, yes, that's right. Hollywood, all of this is controlled, and they're going to slip in their freaking propaganda left and right. You can't enjoy nothing. So soon it's going to be books here. We're going to just enjoy books. Yeah, and the last season was trash anyway. It wasn't even that. I don't know. I think we just like we're like, oh, it's like a wholesome something, and I feel like most people can relate to this, and that's like what you long for, right? Is you long for like little fleeting moments like that in life that you create together. Yeah, so did you take those, Benzo?
Yeah, he threw him on his head in the car.
That's so funny. But yeah, anyway,
I gotta go.
we'll have to go get lunch here soon. Yeah, do you want to grab him? I think that's thanks for being on.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
We'll have to do another chat soon. I think that we answered most of these. Yeah, we answered, do we eat meat? We do. The best type of birth control, Pray and pray. We never have I've never been on birth control, like ever. I've shared that before. And we have a method that works really well, except for when it doesn't, which has been 3 times, obviously. So I don't have to get in detail about that. But there's only, we go by the cycle. If you're not adding unnecessary poison into your system and taking things like the shot and the pill, and I had too many friends that were like getting into all of the birth control stuff, and then they would have random allergies out of nowhere. I think I shared that before. One of my closest friends became allergic to mangoes, and for me, mango is like the best fruit ever. I've gotten into that definitely it had to be a mango in the Garden of Eden. There's no way that Adam and Eve would have sacrificed all of freaking eternity over an apple. That didn't happen. So she was like, hey, I'm on the shot and I'm now allergic to mangoes. And I was like, oh, nope, I don't even care. I don't even care. I will have all the babies. I just cannot not enjoy mango. Stop. So that was what deterred me at first. And, she's on here because I keep getting asked that, Vicky. If you guys don't know who the best friend is I'm talking about, it's Seek Truth, Live Whole. And then you got allergic to blueberries too. And that was hard. And I think you tried, did you get on the pill also? And then you had all those, just issues. It's like issues. And then there were a few others who I was like, dude, it terrible, right? I know, Vicky, it's just because I keep getting asked it. So you're going to forever hear this. And so now we just go by, there's those set dates every month that, I just got a period. I got a period finally after almost 2 years of not having a period because I was pregnant and then because I was pumping and breastfeeding. So I just got my period the day after the infamous cup incident. The lady who threw her menstrual cup. Tell me why, right? And the next morning, I woke up and I had my period finally. So, what we do is we go by just now I have to see if next month the period's going to hit at the same time again, which it should, because I was just always on a regular schedule. So we knew of like the days during the month where we had to be safe. And then we knew of the days of the month where it was a free-for-all. We know what free-for-all means, okay? So that's been our routine. So, and currently I use Jeff's pan shirt as birth control. Untapped Inspirations on here, she said that. It's hard, like, come on. How do you get it on with somebody and they've got Pan's face splashed across their chest? And I'm making a Lorena shirt now so that could be a deterrent for him. Because I'm going to wear this Lorena thing. Have you guys seen it? It's the Black Widow design. I got to reach out to a company that can start doing these shirts for me because Bonfire takes so much. They take like $15 per shirt. You guys know that, right? So you only make like $2. It's not money for anything. And honestly, this is so sad. The last 2 campaigns, any money made was enough money for me to like buy the shirt that I designed. I was like, oh, I made enough to buy 2 shirts, so I can also have 2 13.1 shirts. So it's not to like profit or make money, but I need to find another company, I guess, that can do that. So the Black Widow of public policy. Such a mood killer, Lorena.
Need a bigger can of Raid.
I know. So that's what we do. Don't take our advice for it, though. Consult your physician on what's best for you to do. Don't tell your physician that you use Senator Pan face and they're like, well, congratulations, you're pregnant. So happy that worked. Because it's not going to work. So, yeah, it worked until it didn't. Okay? And I'm honest here. Amelia was a Cabernet. Sebastian was a Pinot Noir. Enzo was a Zinfandel mixed into a very delicious sangria that I had made that night. And neighbors came strolling by, offered me a margarita I should have never mixed. But I don't want to say that because Enzo, you know? And I'm also not a rude person. You know, somebody's like, I made this for you. It's got your name on it. And I was like, I shouldn't have. But you know what? I did. And now we have Enzo. So. But he's a Zinfandel. He's a Frog's Leap. I even know the kind. So now I can't really drink Frog's Leap, even though it's great wine. We've just stayed away. We've stayed away from Dahlia Pinot Noirs. We've stayed away from Rodney Strong Cabernets, because that will create an Amelia. If you guys want an Amelia in your life, you got to drink Rodney Strong Cabernet. And then you got to make sure, if you want a girl, that you're on top. And if you want a boy, that he's on top. I'm not giving good advice here, am I? But that's my advice. It's worked for us, and it might not work for you. And don't come knocking on my door if it doesn't work for you. But if you want a boy, then you have to let him be on top. Oh, this one won't save, and I'll be okay with it. If it doesn't save, who cares? Bio-individuality. Liz is on. You get what God gives you. But I'm just saying, if you don't want to have a bunch of girls, you have to let him, you have to be fair, okay? And you got to, take turns and not only be, I'm kidding. Do you try on purpose those times? The only one we purposefully tried for, where we were like, if it happens, it happens, was Sebastian. So, and then he will probably grow up and use that against his siblings, like he was the only one that was actually wanted. They'll have those sibling jokes together, and that's okay, because Sebastian is also the one that I just relate to the most, because he's a second child. I'm a second child, and I feel like us middle kids, we can sense each other and we can just sympathize with each other, right? Because growing up, you're wrong if you fight with the older sibling, because the older sibling knows better, and so you're wrong. But if you fight with the younger sibling, you're wrong because you're older and you should have known better. And that's like the curse of the middle child. And so I definitely have middle child syndrome, along with, and I find that I get along much better with other second-born middle kids. It's like we just have this understanding of how unfair life is, and then we're so numb to it too that when somebody complains, we're like, get over it. Life's not fair. It's so I'm just saying, it's definitely accurate, right? I can't sympathize with the babies of the family ever, and they're always the ones that's also my hesitation in having a third. Now that I can get all real on here, I was really afraid, because no offense right now, if you're a third child or the last child, no offense, please, or jump off this, because you'll probably get offended because you're a big adult baby. But every third child that I knew was they're that person in the family. Everybody's got to deal with their crap, and then they sympathize with them, and everybody's bailing them out of stuff, and it's ugh. So that's what I was I don't know if I could deal with that. And then they're the kid that also wants to be the most independent, but they're definitely the most dependent, technically. Like, if they're not dependent on their families, they're dependent on everyone else around them in their independence. And you're like, you're not independent, buddy. You're like, so I didn't want to deal with that, you know? And so we pray every day that Enzo is not that for us. But, you know, he might be. And the thing is, we're still going to love him. And still, that's how we are. That's how we are, you know? But it's always the third. It's always the third in the family. I could go off on that more. That was like me being, that was me holding back right now on my true opinions of the third born, right? So it's people on here are like 3 and 4 or 3 and 5. Somebody, okay, yeah, if I had a fourth, we're thinking if we have a fourth, then Enzo, it's going to be like they're 1 and 2 again, because there's enough of a gap between Sebastian and Enzo to where he's not exactly the third. There is this thing, guys, with that third kid, man, in every family. Oh, you're the third. I get it. Not saying you're not going to do anything. Not saying you're not like of value. Do not take it that way. At all. Yeah. Don't take it that way. Don't get all sensitive. Oh, and Enzo's up here. Look at him, sensitive third over here. Mad about what? What are you mad about? Life is so good for you? I'm just kidding. He's a baby. He's a baby right now. And he's with Jeff. I'm not ignoring him off to the side over here. But anyway. So, who's it? Brando is my third. They're crazy. Just say it. The third born is nuts. They're nuts. They expect the most from everyone else. Everyone else in the family is like, okay. And then they just go along with it because, you know, and then the parents, it's like, the parents are just way more forgiving too of the third for whatever reason, even though they complain about them when they're not around. The biggest complaint is the third. And it's everybody else's problem. It's like your sister. And you're going, you mean your daughter? You mean your daughter? Why is she, when she's not, you know, when she's irritating you, why is she suddenly my sister and not your daughter? So, yeah. Yep, because we have no energy left. I know. And I'm like, are we going to be those people too? We're going to be apologizing for him when he's older to the siblings that are like, we can't take this. So, and everyone's just going to like cuddle you in, Enzo, and we're all just going to like accept you for who you are. And you're going to walk around and think that you're just capable of everything on your own, when meanwhile the freaking, it's been paved. The road has already been paved. But by all means, think it's because of you and your excellence. So, man, I went off. Oh, third. So, yeah, I guess that's it. I guess I'll end there. But we love them, and we're family, and we have to love our family. And, you know, you have to love, we just do. We love our family. Thirdborns don't seem to, though, all the time. They'll be like, I don't need them. I don't need them. Oh. And you're like, yeah, you don't need me. You don't need me. You don't want anything to do with me until life is like you kind of need this person, right? So, anyway, see you tonight. Yes, we have a woke gathering of Vegas moms tonight, and I've invited them to some effery that's happening in my community. It's like, you guys want to hang out? We will be hanging out. But anyway, you'll see it. I wish we could, I don't know if we could live it, Monica, but it should be an interesting evening. I'm wondering if there's a way that we can record it. What's going on here? It's just going to be a bunch of parents asking a bunch of questions, because this stuff, this festering turd of a pharma industry has found its way. It's seeped its way into my backyard. I cannot remove myself from it. And so, yeah, we will try. It's not a flu shot clinic here. It's like a lecture. It's a lecture. So anyway, we'll get our questions ready. And anyway, I'm gonna jump off this. We will chat soon. Okay, guys? Take care.